confusion, frustration, disappointment, and I'm not even talking about the November election. This Urban Sentinel, let's get into it. It was once said by me that gardeners are masochists because we punish ourselves with the pain of gardening over and over and over again. And this season has been no exception to that. There have been some improvements and there have been a lot of disappointments in the garden that I've been working on. So let's take a look. Right off the top, I'm going to start with the apple tree. Now, if many of you saw the video I did a few weeks back, I was pleasantly surprised to see the large number of apples starting to grow on the tree. Unfortunately, just about a month ago, most of the leaves started doing this, and it spread quickly. I believe it's called a brown spot leaf fungus, and as you notice, brown spots on the leaves. Initially it was just a few leaves. A couple of days later, several more leaves, then some leaves started to drop off, and as you can see for the tree itself, most of the apples that are still there, some of them are rotting out, a lot of them drop off the limbs, and it's really not looking like it's going to make it. But I'm going to leave it as it is and just see how it ends up, say September, October, what the total damage is going to be. Now this is what remains of one of my squash plants. I actually got a total of 4 squash out of this one, 2 good sized ones. The other 2 were small, they didn't really make it, they didn't do too well, and then it just effectively withered up, as you can see, and turned into this wretched state that it is. The second one, which is supposed to be zucchini squash, is actually still hanging on in this area here, and I got 1 flower up here. I'm not really sure how this one's going to work out. I'm going to have to clean up the inside a little bit and try to rearrange and move some of the stems over to get them back in towards the pot, and hopefully I'll be able to get 1 or 2 out of this one. Now I know on the yellow squash there was a bit of the white mold fungus on a few of the leaves, and I thought or hoped that I had taken care of it, removing the actual leaf and the stem, but the actual fungus probably spread to a lot of the rest of the plant even without me being able to see it, and that effectively caused the low yield that it had. Now I do have 2 other squash plants that I had started later on, and both of them right now are just getting to the flowering stage, and hopefully they'll improve over the next month or so. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on them. Now back here, I've got eggplant in a container, and it's finally starting to shape up. I am going to have to attend to that leaf there, and hopefully it's nothing that's going to spread, but the eggplant's starting to come around. These are not supposed to be here. They started growing, and initially I thought it was part of the original peppers that I had planted, but they are not peppers at all. I believe they are evening primrose. Not quite sure how they got in there, but nature does what nature does. That's one of the mysteries and the fun with gardening outside, is sometimes the animals and the insects move things around for you, deciding that no, it's going to eat the seeds that you planted, and then it's going to poop or drop off other seeds from somewhere else, and you get the end result of a mystery plant growing up inside your container. Now I've got some cherry tomatoes, which they are actually, even though a lot of them are green, they're doing quite well. This so far has been one of the greater successes in the garden overall. Right next to it, I've got some, I believe these are the Roma tomatoes, and they've been coming in, still green, but it's going to give it a little bit of time. Hopefully in the next month or so, they'll also be stepping up and improving overall. Now, even though that says peas, sugar daddy, as you can tell, that is not them. These are pole beans. I swapped them out because for whatever reason something was not working out well with the peas. So these are actually climbing beans, and they're getting up there, slowly making their way. So hopefully in another month or so I'm going to start getting some results in. A lot of my herbs didn't do as well, but I know a lot of the birds when I first planted them tore through everything. But I've got some parsley here and some basil coming up here, and that's been doing well. The fennel, not so much. Some wild grass got through, I'd have to take care of that. Got some tarragon, that's coming in. And again, one of these mystery plants, which I'm still not quite sure what it is, but it is not something that I originally planted. Now, with a lot of the things that I put into pots and containers, some of them, quite honestly, they just did not work out this season at all, and they're plants that I've done before and had greater success with. Other cases, yes, it was definitely the environment. We had several large heat waves followed up with intermittent deluges of, proportional Noah's Ark flooding type of situation. So I know that a lot of the plants ended up getting too much of one or the other, whether it be the heat and humidity or just a strict downpour where the soil just never had a chance to sort of absorb and dry up a little bit. Now, this fat boy here is a cucumber. It looks more like it's having an allergic reaction. This is one of the first ones that started to grow, and I thought it was going to do well, but it kind of got to this point and sort of stopped. Whereas this one here is all flowering, so I'm actually having a greater hope that this one will work out better. And I've got a third one, as you can see in there, they're just starting to come along. So of these 3 containers, this one seems to be the most promising to look forward to. Now, not everything worked out obviously as I'd hoped it would, which my hope is everything would be a complete success. Some things I know it was a matter of the timing and the attendance to them, because quite honestly, I've got other stuff to do, so working with the garden as often as I can doesn't leave me a regular schedule to sort of keep up on things. I try to do a little bit here and there when I can. So a lot of the items in here are pretty much, they've been left on their own whenever I haven't been able to really tend to them specifically. And yeah, in part that can lead to problems when you do have fungus, or you do have, in this case for a lot of my greens, it's I believe the white moth butterfly. It looks nice flittering by, going through the grasses and everything, but what it does is it ends up eating up a lot of your green leaf vegetables. So I had some kale. This is more or less what's left of the kale. It really tore through that. And the collard greens, for whatever reason, it did not touch the escarole. So the escarole has actually been doing pretty good. Something here got a little nibble, but I've been cutting this back and pulling the leaves, and we've been utilizing those. The salad mix, same thing. There's a few oddball leaves that look like it got at, but it wasn't too bad. In here, I originally did have carrots, and they weren't doing so well. I put some random radish seeds and beet seeds in. This one has not done as well, versus the beets over here, they're looking pretty good. I haven't pulled any of these yet. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer and then start plucking out everything. Got some dill in the back, it underperformed. I've got some Greek oregano. I've got some Thai basil here, which is actually doing pretty good. This is hopefully going to continue to grow. It's a hot pepper plant, and it's doing not too badly so far. Whereas this big boy here, somewhere underneath, it's supposed to be cauliflower, but as you can see, there's a lot of nibble damage going on from the insects that are getting at it. This here is a citrus tree, a little dwarf citrus tree, which I have to strap it up to this post to keep it upright, but it's actually done quite well for this time period. Now this is one of the 2 potato plants. There was actually supposed to be 2 in each, and I did find some beetles that were getting in there. I'll tell you, I have not pulled anything out yet, and I plan on doing. I'm just going to wait until I've got the next 2 days of better weather, because it's been raining for the last day off and on, and I'd rather do this when I've had at least 2 days of good dry warm weather to deal with it. So my primary plan, we're almost towards the end of August now, is to clean up a lot of basically the dead buckets, cut back a lot of the plants, and if I do a second planting for a fall harvest, it's going to be primarily fast growing things. So I'll do some probably lettuce, try a few more greens, nothing too intensive, just to have them in some of the larger buckets that I have. And I'm going to basically keep my eye on the tomatoes and the squash that's starting to flower, the eggplant, the cucumber, that sort of thing. But I'm going to be winding down the rest of the garden for a lot of the other stuff, cutting a lot of stuff back, pulling a lot of the leaves that for the herbs, as an example, can dry up and we can use, and having that sort of start stacking up for the fall going into the winter. Hello there. Yeah, the compost bin is the only thing that I'm never disappointed with, because no matter what, you really can't mess it up too much. It just does what it does. It's the lowest maintenance thing that I have here. This, I just took a literal handful of loose seeds that spilled out of the different packets. I had dirt and soil left over, packed it into a laundry basket, put all these in, and I've just sort of let it go as it is. So there's actually squash, radishes, beets, looks like corn, some pole beans. It's an entire cornucopia, a fruit of the loom worth of vegetables in here that I'm just going to sort of let go as it is, just for the fact that, well, I'm not going around plucking and preening everything to get it all set up for anything particular. Had some spinach and some bush beans in here, and I think these hit the end of their line. They're actually supposed to be golden yellow, but they're not looking that great right now. Now the stevia plant is actually looking pretty good, so I'm kind of happy with that. I'll probably be able to put that into the greenhouse before it starts getting too cold. So overall, success and failures as it is for the garden for this year so far. And again, I'm going to start trimming things back, tidying things up, getting things prepped for fall, going into winter, and as usual, come up with a new game plan for the next year. All right, that's it for now. Catch you in the next one.